Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Skillsroad seminar and webinar. Thank you for joining us today. My name's Danielle Buckley. We're still waiting for a few people to join, but it is 4 o'clock, so we're going to get started. For those of you that haven't participated in a webinar before, you'll see on your left-hand side of the screen there's a little chat box. You are welcome to send a question or chat to us at any time throughout the presentation. We want to hear your feedback, and while this is a webinar, we really encourage everyone to participate because we are here to help you. We'll also have throughout the webinar a series of polls. So we want to get your feedback, we want to hear what you have to say. So we ask that you fill in the polls and then we'll share the results as we go along. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Danielle Buckley. I'm a coaching and consulting psychologist and the resident psychologist for Skillsroad. I started my career as a psychologist about 15 years ago, and in fact my first job was in an all-boys juvenile detention centre. So I learned a lot from a very young age as a psychologist about working with adolescents and really what it means to help them get the most out of their life. And we're here today to really focus on how we can help young people start their career. So today, the Skillsroad is an initiative of the New South Wales Business Chamber, and really it is designed to help the next generation successfully make the transition from school into the working world. As I said, we've got lots of teachers on the call today, so please ask any questions that you've got. And what we're going to do today is take you through a bit of background into Skillsroad, but also show you a whole range of tools that we've put on Skillsroad for teachers. Our journey to Skillsroad began about 5 years ago. So working with the Australian Apprenticeship Centre, what we started to do was work around the country running events for employers, for teachers, for parents, for students to really help understand what do students need to help them in their career journey. But we started to ask questions like, why is there a skill shortage? Why are young people quitting jobs and apprenticeships within the first 12 months? Why do Gen Y have different work expectations? And we wanted to know how we can help employers and businesses work more effectively with their Gen Y talent pool, because as we've discovered, what we're seeing in our Gen Y population is a really unique, stereotypical set of traits. We've also started to ask the question, how can we help parents, teachers and students? And how can we help students begin their career journey? And the answer, we believe, is in the Skillsroad website. So as I said, this is all about helping you help your students. And I'm curious for our first poll, who has signed up and joined Skillsroad? If you can just select your score there. And we'll see what, we'll give you a little test as to how well versed everyone is. And just like a teacher, if you haven't joined Skillsroad, your first piece of homework from today's webinar is to get online to the Skillsroad website and sign up. Okay, so we've got 62% of people at the moment have joined and signed up, whereas we've got 37% who haven't. I'm not sure where the 1% is in there. Maybe my maths is just too good. Okay. Thank you for your participation. So what we're going to cover in today's webinar is helping the school to work transition, and in particular, helping teachers with the school to work transition. So we're really going to start looking at understanding the stereotypical traits of Gen Y. And I really want to stress when we go through this is the stereotypical traits. Not all Gen Y are like this. But it's important that we start and talk about this because the stereotypical traits that this generation have, which are our new talent pool, really change the way that the workplace operates and gets employers starting to think about what they need to do differently to accommodate the young talent coming through. We're going to look at some survey results that we have asked Gen Ys to fill in Skillsroad, and we're also going to go through some resources and tools for the teachers that they can use. So in particular, we're going to show you a career quiz, a resume builder. We're going to look at an Explore Careers section on the website as well, a jobs board, a parents portal, and a whole lot of other features that we'll highlight throughout the presentation. We will also pause throughout the presentation, just in case anyone has any questions. So we'll ask now, does anyone have any questions on what we're going to cover today? Just type them in your chat box if you do. Okay, so teachers on the call today, my question to you is, what is the biggest issue you see when young adults need to start thinking about their transition into the workplace? What are some of your challenges? Is it that they don't know what they want to do? Is it that they're demotivated? Maybe it's their employers. Sometimes is it that they just have little experience in work? Is it lack of parental support? All of the above, or something that we have not come across or thought of yet? Please let us know what your experience is. Okay, so we've got most people, 40% saying that they don't know what they want to do, 30% all of the above. Few have little experience in work. Yep. In the past, when we've done these webinars, and we've certainly been to a number of locations, Canberra, Sydney, talking to teachers, the main thing that we're seeing from teachers, career advisors in particular, is that young people don't know what they want to do. So that fits with what we've been talking about so far. Okay, so let's look at the Gen Y stereotypes and let's start thinking about, what is this population like? And again, as I said before, let's stress these are stereotypes, not everybody is like this. But what we see in this generation are people that are always connected, so never without their phones. We see this ability to multitask, so being on the phone, watching the television, surfing the internet. We also see people have this ability to express individuality, but Gen Ys really feel that it's important to be part of a group, and this is really evident when they start working and relates to how they form relationships in the workplace and the importance of those relationships. We also see that many Gen Ys are outspoken and optimistic, yet we also see at times a lack of resilience and mental toughness. In line with this, we've had a lot of feedback that there's an inability to take harsh criticism. We also know, though, that many Gen Ys do still live at home. They're hungry to progress their careers, but they have also grown up in incredibly affluent times. And it's this affluence and the way the environment and the world is at this point which really shapes a lot of their traits and a lot of their characteristics. What do people think? Do we agree with those statements so far? Any questions? So as teachers who work with students all the time, what traits do you think define Gen Y? Oh, sense of entitlement seems to be winning at the moment. Sense of entitlement. Look, when we've done these in the past, it's really, really important as well that people don't think that we're being too cruel here. We're certainly not being too cruel, and absolutely many of these traits can be huge positives in the workplace. However, some of them can also be negatives. So we seem to have about almost 60% of people thinking a sense of entitlement is probably the defining skill, the defining trait of Gen Y at the moment. All right. So what else do we know about Gen Y? Well, as I said, it's really important to start thinking about the stereotypical traits of that population because really it's influenced a lot of their working trends. So what we've started to see with Gen Y is that many are actually entering the workforce really late or not at all. And in fact, research out of some of the government institutions at the moment suggests that after year 12, girls are more likely to work part-time rather than full-time. We also are seeing that many are entering skilled trades or graduate roles with no prior work experience. And this is some of the concerns that we're hearing from employers. We've also seen that many have grown up with work attitudes that demand work-life balance, progression and responsibility immediately. And it's these attitudes that are not being met by employers. Quite an interesting perspective that, because I think, having worked in the workforce for a number of years, it's those needs and those wants that we all have. But there seems to be this belief amongst Gen Xers and baby boomers that those entitlements are something that you earn after 15 years of work. Whereas we're seeing our Gen Ys enter the workforce and expecting that they have those rights on day one. But what's really alarming and why we're here and why Skillsroad is so important to us is because we know that 3.1 million Australians aged between 15 and 24, 500,000 of them are not in full or part-time work or study. We know that commencements of apprenticeships to under 19s are now at their lowest levels, dropping from 120,000 to under 90,000. And we know there's almost 200,000 young people disengaged from the system entirely. For every worker who's younger than 25, we've got 2.6 over 45 workers. We need to engage young people into the workforce to sustain our economic growth. And currently, according to government data, 1 in 6 young people will not get the start they need to contribute to the future, their future and the future of Australia. So we've just had a question come in from Suzanne asking about the age ranges of Gen Ys. Very, very debatable topic, but really most research suggests it's from about 1982-83 up into 2002-2003. Are these state or national? State figures, another question's coming in, national figures. So yeah, so the age ranges of Gen Y really are a bit grey, but really if you look at the stereotypical traits of Gen Y, why they are the way they are is because of the way that they were raised. So I think most Gen Ys can put their hand up and identify that they fit the ball with a lot of those characteristics because of the way their parents were bringing them up, what was going on in the world. All of those things influence different generations and the way they are. So what we've done on Skillsroad is we went out to some of our young people to ask them about what their experience with the workforce has been. And this survey that we've filled in, we've got our Gen Y to fill in, has often caused quite a bit of controversy when we've talked about it with teachers because some teachers have disagreed. But if I've learnt anything as a psychologist, it is things are not always as they seem. So we've got 5 questions that we've asked Gen Ys on the Skillsroad website. They are, what are Gen Y's greatest challenges when entering the workforce? What factors influence acceptance decisions? What's a typical interview process? Where do young people find work? What's important in applying for a job? So first question, what are your greatest challenges in the workplace? Well, I'd be interested to see what all the teachers on the call thought, but actually we've found that 50% of young people say that their greatest challenges in the workplace are the hours and demands of the job. Next was building relationships, responsibility, building relationships with a boss, understanding the rules, pay, getting to and from work, sticking to the rules, missing my friends, lack of support. Really interestingly, pay is further down the line, but hours and demands seems to be the biggest trouble for our young people. Following this, what factors influence acceptance decisions? So the biggest issue in accepting a job seems to be the opportunity to progress, followed by the opportunities for coaching and mentoring, and company profile is also really important as is working in a team. Any surprises so far with the teachers? Let's move on to the next question. What's the most important factor in applying for a job? Our Gen Ys have told us that it's people in the company that's the most important factor, followed by company reputation, location to home, pay and size of the company. Perception of family and friends didn't get a look in. But again, you know, our message to employers is that when you're looking at hiring some new talent, people in the company and having a good company reputation is really, really important. And one of the things that we're working with a number of employees is how they can make a great place to work for Gen Ys. Finally, where do you find work? This surprised me, I have to say. As I said, things are not always as they seem. But most people, most of our Gen Ys, 41%, found work from other sources outside of job searches, newspapers, employers, Google, LinkedIn, Facebook. Where do you think that was? Type it in your chat box. What do you think? All right, I'm going to reveal. Did anyone get it right? interview people? Yeah, personal, absolutely. So the main source where young people find work is through personal networks. And very, very interesting to me, what's been your interview process? On average, interviews last for about 30 minutes and they see one person in the company. This is really, really good information for teachers and for students because we really need to get students to start thinking about what is it that they need to do in that 30 minutes to interview the employer and understand as much about that role as possible. Because they need to know what they're going into in order to make sure that they are choosing the right career themselves. So, time for a poll. What's been your biggest surprise in these results? Workplace challenges, acceptance decisions, applications, finding work, interviews? Oh, mixed results here. So we've got so far about 25%, 27% workplace challenges, acceptance decisions, applications, finding work, interviews, 15%. Yeah, it's really important when we go through this to start thinking about what it is that you can do differently and how can you use this information to really help your students. It was really remarkable when we ran a presentation for some students recently, and I shared the feedback with them that most of our Gen Ys think that when it comes to starting work, actually working, the hours and demands and coping with the job is the hardest part. And you know, they were not surprised by this feedback. And again, you know, why I shared the Gen Y stereotypes before is let's think about the way many Gen Ys live their life, you know, particularly if they're still at home, and obviously most of your students are, but we certainly have raised a culture where it's the norm for parents to do most things for their children. Speaking to a lot of teachers recently, I've seen a number of teachers tell me that many of their students don't have part-time jobs. So again, if you go back to the Gen X population, what we know is that most Gen Xers got a part-time job at about the age of 14. So when it came to starting work, they actually had a whole lot of skills already when they started with their chosen career. But now what we're seeing in the workplace is many young people are starting their skilled professions, starting an apprenticeship, starting in a traineeship where they don't have any workplace skills yet. And that's a real concern to a lot of employers. One of the things we are launching, which I'll talk to you about later, on the Skillsroad website is a work readiness course for young people to do to start helping them become job fit and become work ready. Because learning those skills that we all take for granted when we go into a workplace every day sometimes are their biggest challenge, as we've just heard. All right, before we go into the tools, has anyone got any questions based on what we've shared so far? Oh, what have we got here? So we've got a question on the data source. So we put out a survey to the Gen Ys who had joined Skillsroad. So they're Gen Ys from across Australia. Is the career quiz free? Oh, excellent question. We're just about to move on to that, and absolutely the career quiz is free. Any other questions at the moment before we move on? Look, what I'm going to take you through now is all the teacher tools on Skillsroad. Before we do that, I just want to mention that Skillsroad is a community initiative, and it's an initiative from the Australian Business Apprenticeship Centre. But it's really important to mention that it is evolving every day. You know, we believe what we've got at the moment is a really fantastic array of tools on here to help parents, students and teachers in their career journey and in their transition from school into the workplace. But the list of things that we have is by no means exhaustive, and we are fully aware of the value of writing and developing brand new content on here all the time. When we've spoken to teachers in the past, we have had a lot of feedback about perhaps having more things for minority groups, but at the moment what we've got we believe is a great start in helping a lot of young people get into the workforce. So let's explore some of these tools, and let's begin with the career quiz. I'm going to take you through each tool, talk to you a bit about how you can use it in the classroom, Draw attention to some ways that other teachers have used it and point out some formal lesson plans that we have on the Skillsroad website that teachers can absolutely just download and use in their classes. Any questions so far? No questions. Means we're good to go. Okay, let me introduce you to the first tool that we've got, the career quiz. So this is designed and built exclusively for Skillsroad. It's probably important to mention that it's based on one of the most well-known psychological theories for career choice and personality, and that is the theory by Elias Porter, and otherwise known as relationship awareness theory. So there's actually quite a number of assessments which use this theory, and what the career quiz does is it identifies 4 different personality types that we all have. And these personality types stem from our motivational style, so what sort of type we are. For example, are we a carer, someone who is motivated by the well-being of others, building relationships, caring for people? Are we a driver? Are we somebody that's motivated by results, achieving things? Are we an analyst, someone that's motivated by detail and logic and getting things perfectly correct? Or are we a flexor, a combination of all 3 of them? Now this matters because if we can understand our motivational style, it really starts to help us discover and think about what careers might suit us. So if some of you out there, and as we know most of you, are finding that your students are just really stuck with what they want to do because they have no idea, using the career quiz is going to be a fantastic tool for you. And yes, it is absolutely free, is one of the questions that we've had come up. People may have had something in the past that they've used that's paid, but this is a free tool. So when they complete the questionnaire, what they're going to get is a whole description of their motivational style, what those strengths look like overdone, but more importantly, a list of careers that could possibly suit them. Again, this matters because it gets students thinking about the why something could be of interest to them. And one of the things that we're really trying to do with parents and with students is move them away from trying to find a specific job that they want and thinking more about what interests them, what are the things that they might really enjoy, and how can they start their career journey. So as I said, it provides a list of possible careers and a really detailed report. So how can you use this? Well, if you log on to the Skillsroad website and you sign up, which of course, as we've mentioned, is already free, there are a number of formal lesson plans on there. So these have been developed by different psychologists. There's lesson plans on asking why questions, and there's lesson plans specifically on how you can use the career quiz. The quiz takes about 25 minutes to do, depending on how fast they are, but many teachers are just using that as their lesson itself. We've had lots of teachers give us feedback that they're getting kids to do the career quiz in class and then just butting up with someone and talking about the different career paths that would suit them, what their types are. We've also had teachers tell us that they've got the children to complete the quizzes in class, then form small group discussions with each of their same types to talk about what's important and why. Again, this is just a really great way of getting students to start thinking about what type of career might they want and what might suit their personality. It's by no means a black and white test, but it really is a great discovery tool and a great tool to get people to start thinking about what they could do and how they can explore it. Okay, so we've got some questions coming through here, but I'm going to ask a question first, which is, has anybody used the career quiz yet? If you have, just type yes in your chat box. Okay, so we've got a couple of yeses come through, which is fantastic. Excellent. We've also had a question about what age groups it's suitable for. So look, the career quiz is suitable for any age. Obviously, it's designed for our Gen Y population, but we have had quite a large number of adults complete it too. So it is an individual tool, but geared at school age. Really easy language. We've worked really hard to try and refine the language to make it easy to read. So again, any feedback, if you've got any feedback on using it, please let us know. As I said, Skillsroad is evolving, but so far our feedback from teachers has been that this has been a really useful tool to help their children and in their students start actually thinking about what they might want to do. Okay, moving on. Who thinks they might use it with their students based on this description? Okay, so one no. Most people saying yes. Okay, cool, couple of maybes. Fantastic. Again, any questions or queries with it, please let us know. Type it in the chat box. We've got a few guys here from the team who will get back to people. If there's some questions that you type, because there's so many coming through that we actually don't get to answer straight away, we will be putting all the questions on our website, sending out an email with feedback and answering the questions after this. So please, if we're not answering your question specifically, please don't worry, we will get to it. Okay, so next tool, the resume builder. Has anyone used a resume builder so far on the Skillsroad website? Yeah, we've got a few people use it. Fantastic. So look, we all know that creating a resume is so important. And in fact, when we speak to a lot of employers, this is one of their gripes when it comes to employing young adults. So what we've done on the Skillsroad website is create a resume builder to really help students create a great resume and cover off a whole lot of things, because again, what we're hearing from parents is a lot of parents don't know how to put a resume together. So you can go to the resume builder section in the website, and what we ask students to do is put in a whole series of details, some personal information, and then we get them to answer a whole lot of questions around what their different experiences in the workplace, if they haven't worked already, what have they done at home, and talk a lot about how they can actually build a career with the information that they have. We have had some people talk a little bit to us and give us some feedback around collecting the data, what sort of data we put in, why we're asking the students to put in postcode, for example. I'll answer that question now, because what's really important to us is that we tailor this website according to our user group. So the questions that we ask students to put in here really informs the content that we deliver and drives what we develop. So we're not using it for any other reason but to really inform what we're doing. So going back to the resume builder, what we've asked students to do, go through, enter their name, phone number, create a password, then let's roll. So you click on that website and enter all the things that are relevant to students to start building their resume. So teachers who have used this already in the classroom have told us that they've sat down and they've got the kids to create a resume in class. They've also got students to, so after they complete the resume, they get a printout of their resume. Practice interviews using their resume. We've also had a lot of teachers, once they've got their resume printed out, get students into groups of 3 and have practice groups where you have an employer, a student and an observer. We've also spoken to a number of employers who have used this to role play and practice asking interview questions. Also on the website, we've got some formal lesson plans around goal setting that sit within our resume builder. So if you go onto the Skillsroad website and look under the teachers part, you'll actually be able to see, as I said before, a series of questions that you can draw your attention to and print off formal lesson plans within there. So, you know, the idea of this is that it's as easy as possible for you to use. Does anyone think they might use the resume builder with their students? So while that poll's being filled out, we've got most people saying yes here, but I'm curious from the teacher's perspective, how many students are confident building their resume? Just type in your chat box. How many students are confident building their resume? Yeah, so we're seeing some mixed responses, but what I'm seeing a lot of is not many. Not many. Can you suggest a place students can store? Sorry, questions are coming through thick and fast here. But basically we're hearing that a lot of people are not confident, which is a good start based on the resume builder. Look, it's a fantastic tool. And following on from the resume builder, so again, we had most people in the poll saying that they're going to use it. So getting the kids to start building their resume is a really great start. Following that, we've got a whole section on the website to get them to really start exploring different careers. This is a really fantastic part of the website, and we've put this together over quite a long period of time. But what you'll find in this website is a whole series of careers that students can just explore. So they can type in keywords, they can type in an industry. If they know the occupation, they can type it in. They find out what the average weekly earnings is for that. They look at job prospects. But importantly, above and beyond that, there's also a number of career videos. So what we've done, we've gone around Australia and we've interviewed people who work in those different careers. So this is a really fantastic tool for the students to just actually explore what it's like on the ground and what type of careers are available. So teachers who have used this before have actually spent a whole lesson on this part of the website exploring careers. They've been getting their students to just look through this part. There's an exhaustive list there, but also a description of what each career involves. As I said before, there's industry videos as well as job descriptions. So, you know, one of the things that I've heard many teachers do is getting students to choose jobs and explain why those jobs might suit them and how they could fit their motivational style. So, you know, a nice format to follow would be getting them to do the career quiz, getting them to do their resume, and then potentially exploring careers. Again, coming back to the feedback at the start, what I'm hearing is that lots of teachers are finding that their students don't actually know what they want to do. This is what this part of the Skillsroad website is for. Really another tool for discovery. Got a couple of questions coming through. So we mentioned that we were dealing with Gen Y, we're now dealing with Gen Z. Is it still appropriate? That is a really great question. At the moment, I'm going to say yes. Why we know so much about Gen Y now is because they've been around for a while, believe it or not, and we've got really great data from that population. The data from Gen Z is still emerging. So at the moment, I'd be working with the information that you have until we can get new information out, but really, really good question. Do you have a sample interview questions for the students to use in group work? I believe we do on the website, but if we don't, we'll definitely put some together. That's a great question. We'll note that down for some feedback afterwards. I'll have to double check with that. Any other questions so far about the use of tools? Love how you've linked. Okay, please type in any questions you've got. So we're seeing a mature age job seekers are not confident. Look, okay, so if you do have mature age job seekers, get them to use this website. We've tested this with so many people, and while it is geared at Gen Ys, it is by no means exclusive to that. And I believe it would be a fantastic tool for anybody who lacks confidence, because the best part about doing this, and particularly looking at the career quiz, is it's a really positive tool. So what you get as a result of that is options, possibilities and options of careers that might suit you. And then you can use that as a basis to start exploring the different parts of the website. So you use that as a basis and then you start building your resume, which, you know, again, we have a lot of teachers say to us, my students don't know how to build a resume because they haven't had any career experience. Don't worry, it doesn't matter. We start asking them in the resume builder to start looking at jobs that they might have done around the house, volunteer work, things that they do at school, All of these things employers are looking for, and the resume builder gives them the opportunity and prompts them to put those things in their resume. So really it gets them to create a killer resume in a really positive way. Another part of the Explore Careers that teachers have done really successfully is just simply getting students to find careers that interest them and research what those careers involve and the pathways they need to get there. So really there's just so much on here. You could spend hours and hours on here with your students. And you could simply have lessons where they just play on the website, because there's so many tools, again, that are all free and all developed with the aim that we can help students make a transition into the workforce and begin their career journey. So, Explore Careers poll, does anyone think they might use this section with their students? Great, so this seems like a popular tool. So we've got most people saying yes. Fantastic. Just another point, the resume is stored on their profile. So when the students sign up to Skillsroad, it acts like a portal. So they can store their resume there, they can add to it at any time, but it's also stored against their career quiz. So it's almost like a little career portal that they can use and add and amend things. And look, the great part about that is the more experience that they get, they go back into Resume Builder, it's remembered everything, they plug in a little bit more information, and then out comes their resume. All right, any questions yet? How long will Skillsroad be around? Hopefully forever, a really long time. Look, we're really committed to helping students, teachers and employers. We're running these events for employers and for students. So, we're here for the long haul, is what I'm saying. Any questions so far? Is it easy to update resumes on the builder? Yeah, absolutely. So as I said, you get a profile, you log in back onto the main page. I've used it myself many times, as you do when you're playing with the new tools. You just go in and amend something. So it's a really fantastic tool. All right, so apply for jobs. So building on from the resume builder, the next part on the website is actually applying for jobs. So coming back to some of the challenges that employers talk to us about, it's not just the students putting their resume together, but the students being able to write cover letters to go with their resumes. And what we certainly don't want is everybody looking exactly the same. So in this section, we talk about the importance of cover letters, and believe it or not, still most adults today don't recognise the importance of cover letters and being able to tailor your specific resume through a cover letter to a specific job. So this part of the website goes through that and gets students to start creating cover letters and teaches them a few pointers about creating the ideal cover letter. We think this is really important and really would be really fantastic for parents and for teachers to start getting their children and their students to think about and use. So I would, if I was a teacher, I would get students to read this section first and foremost, but then start practicing writing a cover letter. Lots of the young people that I'm coaching at the moment, one of the things that I get them to do is find a job and practice writing a cover letter. Find a job that's of interest to them and practice. So you can do that in class using the tips from the website. Use the tips from the website on writing a cover letter, but in addition to that, use the careers on the website to practice writing a cover letter. Spend a lesson exploring jobs and looking and understanding what an employer is looking for. So what an employer is not looking for is here's my stock standard resume, I want the job, but why that person is going to be suitable for the job, and that's what's explained in the cover letter section. How else do you think that you might use a cover letter piece with your students? Cold call letters are a great help to students to access. Yeah, actually, when we've done this to students done these talks to students in the past, I've showed them a number of cover letters that I've received as big no-nos, you know, which are really basic things like to Mr. or Mrs. or to whom it may concern, and encouraging students to do a bit of research into the company, encouraging students to work out who they're applying for, who they're applying to, sorry. So, you know, is it the owner? Is it a male? Is it a female? Where can they get this information? And getting them to really put their best face forward. Remembering the data that we went through from our survey results, that when they do get in front of an employer, what we're seeing is only about 30 minutes of that employer's time. So we need to make sure that they get the best opportunity to show themselves to the employer, because we know the job market is hard at the moment. And researching the company, researching the role, researching who is in that company is really, really important. And that's certainly something that we're talking to students about, as I imagine yourselves as teachers are. Any questions that we've got at the moment? So we've got a few comments from teachers about the importance of teaching confidence, teaching initiative, more questions around looking for some sample questions that you can ask. I think we might put that as an action point and make sure what we do is we publicise on the teacher's website, teacher's portal of the Skillsroad website. So a whole range of things, but we will make it our priority to put some standard interview questions together. We might even put some questions together to help with each of the resumes so that the students can practice using that. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Let's move along. And finally, one of the other parts that we have new to the Skillsroad website is our jobs board. So here is our very own jobs section where apprenticeships, traineeships and other jobs for primarily our students and Gen Ys are advertised from employers across the country. So another fantastic resource here for students to use, for teachers to use with their students is to simply get the students to log on and look at what jobs are available. Look at what the job criteria is. Again, using all these tools together is really important. So they get their career quiz, they get their resume, look at what careers are available, then actually find something on the jobs board and practice creating a cover letter that matches a job that is of interest to them. A really neat way of giving all those resources together. There's lots of jobs being posted on here in a really, really up-to-date manner, and this is new, so some of you may not have seen it before. Again, as I've said, what lots of people have done is what lots of teachers have done is use this part just to search for available jobs in their time with their students, or set it as homework. Use it. It's a great portal. Discover what skills or traits employers are looking for. So, you know, one of the things that we're trying to do, and we are going to launch quite soon, is a work readiness course. So again, what we're hoping to achieve is that students, by using the job board, by looking at the Explore Careers path, will actually be able to identify when they don't have skills, when they don't have things that employers are looking for, and then log online and complete a work readiness course that employers are telling us they want students to complete, which covers things like relationships, environmental factors, and bridging any of those gaps. So as I said, our main initiative here is to give students and young people the best start when it comes to beginning their career. And using these tools all together is a really good way, we believe, of doing that. So other ways that teachers have used this is, you know, as I said, getting students to apply for real jobs, write cover letters, put it all together. And we're doing a parents webinar next week, which I'll speak to you about shortly. But we're really trying to encourage parents to get their children to do this, but also parents to role play with their children and start talking to them about the purpose of good cover letters, about types of interview questions that parents have had, and how they can help their children get the best start with employers. Because what the employers are telling us is that young people are turning up for interviews, sometimes not at all, but not really giving it their best shot. So we want to educate parents, and obviously we know teachers already know this, but make students aware that this is competitive and we want them to get into the workplace, but there's a bit of effort that needs to go in their part to begin with. So we've got the job board part on here. Does anyone think that they might use this tool? What do you think? So we had a question come through just before I read the poll that quite often students seem poorly informed as to what employers expect, and I would absolutely agree with you. And you know, as a parent myself, there's always the question, whose responsibility is this to make sure everybody has the right information? But I think if we can hit it at every possible angle. So I think, you know, one of the ways that we've had a lot of success is in educating employers to be really clear with their expectations. Some employers are really fantastic with students and young people coming through. Some are really rubbish. And I think that comes from a culture of what we're seeing in a number of particularly small businesses at the moment. We see a number of Gen X and baby boomers who are running businesses, who are managers, but who are technical experts and actually have no skills in coaching and mentoring and managing young people. And what we see is a population of young people who have been raised with an expectation that they will enter the workforce and be coached and mentored, and that they rightly deserve that. So we're seeing a huge mismatch at the moment between expectations from young people, but also the skills of employers. So there's a large part of the Skillsroad website dedicated to employers. We've been doing events for the last 5 years across Australia, educating employers on really basic things around teaching and spending time inducting students and young people, giving young people the opportunities to do work experience. And we're certainly encouraging students to go and try the work experience things for themselves. We've had a comment here, clash of cultures. I couldn't agree more. Any other questions at the moment before we move on? So what we've seen with the jobs board, we've got 68% of people said that they'll use it. Some 28% maybe, and one person has said that they will not. Any other questions before we move on? Thank you. Thanks for your participation so far. Okay, so finally, some of the other tools on the website that we have is a parents portal. So as I said, we're really trying to target this at every single angle. We have a parents portal where we've got guides to helping students use a career quiz. We've got guides for parents around coaching and mentoring. If any of you on the call at the moment are teachers or careers advisors as well as parents, I'd encourage you to go to the parents portal and have a look there. There's a number of tip sheets for parents on different conversations to have, around how to start career conversations, around how to have that conversation about what your children are actually really interested in and why that matters when it comes to work. And there's a great piece of research on there by Amy Rezaneski about, is what you do for work considered a job, a career or a calling? And fascinatingly, and I'm sure many careers advisors already know this, but in some studies at hospitals, they found that it was the toilet cleaners above and beyond the surgeons who saw what they did as a calling, because they saw that their role was something that made hospitals safe and clean and helping people. And I think it's a really beautiful way of encouraging children to start thinking about their career, that it's not what they do, but do they find meaning from that area, and what sort of meaning will they get from the career that they choose? What are they interested in? What's their personality like? What would suit them? So as I said, tip sheets and blog articles, all things work and career related. As I said, there's also guides for parents to help with their children's decision making, and there's news and events coming up. So news and events coming up on that point, as I said, we have a parents webinar next Tuesday at 7 o'clock. We're going to send you out some feedback as a result after this webinar. because we want to run a number of these, but we really want to find out what you're interested in. As I said, you know, the content and the way we develop this website and our events and our webinars is really determined by you. So please let us know about how we can help you and what you need in order to help your students. So whether that's more lesson plans, more tools, more questions, more ideas. But we would also ask that you encourage your students' parents to join our webinar at 7 o'clock next Wednesday. Hopefully time for them to get home and make their children watch television or do something so they can have some peace and quiet. Any questions so far? Can we use guide sheets and tips in newsletters and websites? Absolutely. As long as you just reference us and let everybody know where you got it from, absolutely. Good. So people want to keep the webinars and tools coming. That is absolutely fantastic. Big sigh of relief there. Okay, so we're just about to wrap up. So please send through any questions that you might have. But as I said before, Skillsroad is designed to help your students begin their career journey. We would really encourage you to play, explore and discover all the tools and resources on the website. I did say initially it's a growing resource. There's lots of things we still want to have on there, but we're really led by what our audience is telling us is a priority. So sign up, get your students to sign up and enjoy. It's a free tool and we would really, really encourage you to start using it. Just before we finish up, I'm curious to know, what tool do you think that you'll go away and use as a result of today? So we're having a number of questions come through as you're filling in that poll. How can parents join the webinar? We will put that in your email that you can send out to parents. Absolutely. We'll send you also a flyer attached to the email that you can just send out to your parents. The flyer will have everything that you need and all the information for parents. Okay, so it seems like the winning tool, well, all of them, I misread that. So most people are going to use all of them. That is so fantastic. But we have a lot of people happy to use the career quiz, which we believe is a fantastic tool and it's free. So get on there, get your students on there. We will really keep listening to all your questions and all your feedback. Thank you so much for your time today. As I said, if you do have any more questions, please send them to us. We'll get a transcript of all the questions that we haven't got to answer because they have been coming through thick and fast. If we haven't got back to anyone, we will answer those questions and get back to you. But please give us feedback on Skillsroad. Let us know what you like, what you love, and what we can do even better. And we're here for you, so let us know. Thanks again for joining and all the best.